The chime of the bell beckons us into a sacred time. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston on this special day. To those in our sanctuary, to all of our many online viewers, and whether you've been here for decades or minutes, welcome. Our young people are featured in this multi-generational service, and some may be in the congregation watching and singing, and some will be helping us tell the story. It's a story told through story and song with a nod toward our Unitarian Universalist sources. There will be lots of chances for you to sing, and the hymn numbers are in the order of service. The lyrics to one song are on the insert, and our responses are now on the laminated pew cards. While mask wearing in the sanctuary remains optional, you are encouraged to continue to wear your mask if you feel more comfortable doing so. Now please join Dr. Rock in our first hymn.
Good morning. I invite you to open your purple hymnals to number 46, O Ven, Emmanuel. Please rise in body or spirit and join as we sing together.
This morning's call to worship is titled Open to All by UU Minister Sherry Woodbury. Perhaps some here have outgrown mystery. Maybe you have doubts about Santa or have forgotten the magic of a newborn child. One might easily lose touch with awe in the struggle to do it all or simply to survive. Hear now this invitation to open yourself to surprise today and be ready to greet unexpected delights. What star shall shine on you? What child remind you that all can be touched by glory? What gifts can you give? How will you join the holy story? In the Jewish faith, the 8-day holiday of Hanukkah, or Festival of Lights, is celebrated by lighting a special Hanukkah menorah to commemorate the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem. The Hanukkah lights symbolize that God maintained his covenant with the Jewish people during a time of oppression and their resistance to that oppression. While we don't presume to replicate a solemn Jewish ceremony, we do light a candle on this, the first day of Hanukkah, in recognition of our tradition's connection to Judaism, in honor of the Jewish members and friends of our congregation, and as an expression of solidarity with Jewish communities here in Houston and throughout the world. Today, we come to the last part of our journey around the wheel that is our Advent wreath. After having first lit the candles in the south and the east and the west, today we'll light the candle in the north. We began our journey around the Advent wreath by lighting a candle in the south, honoring the element of fire. Fire burns away the old and creates space for the new. Next, we lit a candle in the east, symbolic of the element of air. Air gives the gift of breath and of spirit. Without it, we are not. Then came a candle in the west, a candle for water. We are all born of water. We come from the watery wombs of our mothers. Watery blood flows through our veins, sustaining us. Like life, water ebbs and flows. And now we light the candle in the north. The element of north is earth. Its season is winter. Here is where we learn the cycles of birth, life, death, decay, and rebirth. When winter comes, we finish one journey around the wheel of the year and begin another. Soon spring will begin as the days lengthen and the earth begins to bloom. The summer sun and rain will return to nurture the earth. The time of growth will continue until autumn. Then the days will again shorten and the wheel of the year will turn again towards winter. In winter, all seems dead, all seems asleep. Yet even as the earth seems barren, all is waiting to be reborn. Blessed be. As we immerse ourselves in a season when we reflect on the year past and how we may become kinder and gentler in the year ahead, please join in a time that some call meditation and others name prayer. In a season of hurry and hassle, breathe out the sorrow, the division, and the stress. In a season of endings and beginnings, breathe with me the breath of life. In a season of peace and goodwill, breathe in for loving, for acceptance, and with a sense of calm. Inhale as we share this interwoven, intricate web of affinity. Exhale as we feel one another's presence. Breathe with me as we gather to do the holy work of kinship and support. Open your mind, open your heart. Today I share the Prayer for Holidays with Families by Dr. Suzanne Intrillagator. In the days ahead, many of us will gather with family and friends, people with whom we may have long and complicated relationships. It helps to prepare. Dear Spirit, great mystery that has blessed us with life, help us to feel grateful. We give thanks in this moment for lungs that breathe in and out, for hearts that beat, for bodies that work. We give thanks for this coming holiday, however and with whomever we will spend it. We give thanks to be alive, to be able to mark the day in whatever way we choose. We give thanks for family, for friends, for those who gather around us in body or in spirit, in flesh or in memory. We give thanks for all those people who came before us, who, flawed and damaged as they were, loved us into being, shaped us into who we are now. We remember with gratitude. We give thanks for mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers. They did their best. We give thanks for wacky uncles and rebellious aunts, for rambunctious cousins and unexpected guests. We give thanks for long car rides, dashes through airports, and endless rounds of Monopoly. We give thanks for the awkward conversation, the strained pause, even the slammed door. We give thanks for disagreements that forced us to grow and move and evolve. We give thanks for all of it, for all these wild and hungry people, our family, our friends, our congregation, people just as flawed as we are, all dealing with more than we can see, all part of a larger whole, every last one doing their best. We give thanks for the glory of being alive. Amen. We pause now together to lift up that which sits heavy and light on our hearts. Both Albert Puccio and his mother are recovering from significant health incidents. We send prayers and wish them both a quick recovery. Longtime member Joseph Kammerling is awaiting news about a worrying diagnosis. We are keeping him and Cindy Douglas in our prayers. Flossie Bodie, wife of former Minister Bruce Bodie, is also facing a major health challenge. We send prayers and love as she continues treatment. And congratulations to Elizabeth and Ken Kuntz, who welcomed a great grandbaby on November 10th. Cohen Bryan. We now turn to a practice inspired by African, indigenous, and pagan traditions. We say aloud or bring to mind those who we wish to be held by the loving embrace of this religious community. They are part of the great cloud of witness and memory, and we will, even if we do not know their names, hold them in our hearts. In this great cloud of witness and memory, amid this beloved community, we hear these names and hold them in our hearts. Let us remember the suffering and joy amid and among our community that we do not know. We pause in awe and wonder of the beauty, diversity, and mystery that is life. In the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, and in the spirit of compassion, I invite each of you to enter into a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection.
Each week, our morning offering is shared with organizations that share our Unitarian Universalist values and through which we may live out our principles in the world. This is the third week we are pairing two organizations towards a common goal, Child Advocates and Montrose Grace Place. To tell us about this opportunity to donate to help children and youth, we welcome church members Connie Acosta and Marianne Cheslock.
Good morning. Our shared offering and community projects teams have joined together to focus our Christmas gift-giving efforts on teens. Teens often get the short end of the gifting stick for many reasons, just because they're so hard to please. If you add to that teens who are taken from their homes and families by court order, such as the teens in the care of child advocates, or have been rejected by their families and are homeless, such as those participating in Montrose Grace Place, it is a truly an inequity of its own making. I am a seasoned court-appointed child advocate, and I also volunteer at Montrose Grace Place. And I have the perspective of firsthand seeing how teens and the system fall through the system and the cracks, and as people focus, because people focus primarily on children and infants during their gift giving and while giving gifts to charities. That is why our joint efforts have made it very simple. A one-size-fits-all gift that never disappoints: gift cards. We have been collecting gift cards to be given to teens in amounts and at establishments frequented by teens. The funds we collect today during this shared offering will also be turned into gift cards to give each child at least one gift he or she can absolutely use. Your generosity over the last few years for child advocates has truly benefited the 1,200 plus teens in our system, provided to them each by their advocate, such as myself. This year, we are adding the teens from Montrose Grace Place to our teen-focused efforts. We ask you yet again to give the gift that never needs batteries: gift cards or funds. As you can afford, we would please give to those teens who will not have loving families to care for them this Christmas.
This is the third week that we are focusing on the teens of Montrose Grace Place. The first week, we told you that all of the 13 to 24-year-old youth Montrose Grace Place serves are homeless. Most have been ejected from their families or homes because they are lesbian, gay, or transgender, and most identify as persons of color. In week 2, we focused on how the organization creates a safe environment every Monday and Thursday night when the organization welcomes those youth for a home-cooked meal, creative activities, and support services. Unlike large-scale charities with million-dollar budgets, Montrose Grace Place is different in that it is a very small organization, employing just 2 staff people and a dedicated core of volunteers. Because your donation is a relatively large percent of the organization's needs, your $5 or $15 donation will have a relatively large impact in support of those teens. Your contribution is one thing you can do for Montrose Grace Place. However, more importantly, what does your donation do for you? Each donation increases your quality of life. How? Our church is in the midst of a major effort to define its vision and mission. One dimension of its mission is embracing the quest for social justice as a spiritual practice. Why would doing social justice work to be a spiritual value? We come to church to teach our children, build and be part of a community, and so armed, confront injustice. For Unitarian Universalist, social justice work allows us to test our life values and relationship with people who may have values that are different than ours, may look different than us, may live in circumstances and have histories very different than ours and face problems unlike ours. By these support activities, we grow spiritually. Montrose Grace Place offers you a similar diversity of experience for $15 donation, a home-cooked meal, or 3 hours of your time on a Thursday night. In this way, we live out our spiritual values and add meaning to our lives. It's a good trade. Thank you.
Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service, and those watching the live stream will see the instructions on your screen. Our regular Sunday morning offering collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We ask you to give generously. An offering will now be gratefully received.
Me in reading the dedication to the offering, which can be found on the laminated pew card. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
Welcome to our Unitarian Universalist Christmas pageant. Please help us kick off the pageant by singing Deck the Hall with Boughs of Holly, which is hymn number 235. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join as we sing together.
Unitarian Universalists come together on Sundays and on special occasions like this to learn how to be kinder people, how to stand up for what is right, and to help take care of one another and the world. For many years, our community has looked towards 6 specific foundations for guidance to help us learn these things. We often use stories from these half-dozen sources as an interesting way to discover new things.
A story that has been popular and meaningful to many people this time of year is a story of the birth of a little baby boy. This morning we'll talk about some of our sources as we tell the story of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth.
There are some people who were so influential down through history that even though they lived long ago, we still celebrate their birthdays. Here in America, we still celebrate the birthday of a president like George Washington, or of a civil rights leader like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. One of our sources is wisdom from the world's religions, and many religions celebrate the birthday of someone who showed them ways to live more thoughtful and spiritual lives. Many Muslims celebrate Mawlid, the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. Most Buddhists in Southeast Asia celebrate the birth of Prince Siddhartha Gautama, who was later called Buddha. The birth of Jesus of Nazareth has been so celebrated by Christians that even people of other faith traditions, especially in the United States, began celebrating it with them. It is now an entire season of the year.
Telling the story of Jesus' birth, also called the Nativity, is found in the New Testament part of the Bible. The story has become such a beloved tradition that, even to this day, we continue to tell the story. For many years, the children and church communities have put on costumes and reenacted the Christmas story.
Christmas time is here, happiness and cheer. All the children call their favorite time of year. Snowflakes in the air, carols everywhere. Olden time and ancient rhymes of love and dreams to share. Sleigh bells in the air, beauty everywhere. Yuletide by the fireside and joyful memories there. Christmas time is here, we'll be drawing near. Oh, that we could always be such spirit through the year.
Another of our sources is Jewish and Christian teachings, and most of the nativity story we read is from what we call the New Testament part of the Bible, written after Jesus' time. But there are verses from the earlier Hebrew Bible that many people believe refer to Jesus, even though they were written many years before his birth.
The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them a light has shined. For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace.
Oh, come in
6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a young woman engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. The young woman's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Greetings, favored one, the Lord is with you."
But she was much perplexed by his words and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. The angel said to her,
"Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found the favor with God, and now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give to him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end."
Here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word.
Another of our sources is direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder. That means that what we experience on our own is important, not just what others tell us. And in this story, Mary had an amazing direct experience. And she wasn't the only one in this story who had an amazing direct experience with angels. So did the shepherds. But first, let's hear how Joseph came to travel with Mary to Bethlehem.
In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David, called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged and who is expecting a child.
Please join in now and sing Little Town of Bethlehem, hymn 246.
Many people feel closer to what they call the divine, the spirit of life, or God, when they are outdoors in the natural world, near trees, mountains, or an ocean. This leads them to honor the earth and nature and all the animals in the world. In fact, another of our sources focuses on celebrating the sacred circle of life and living in harmony with the rhythms of nature. There were UUs in the 1800s called transcendentalists who started an entire movement based on the belief in the inherent goodness of people and nature. One of them, a Unitarian minister, brought the tradition of the Christmas tree to America from Germany by bringing a tree from the outdoors into his living room, which delighted all the children in his neighborhood. Characters who spent much time outdoors looking up at the stars and taking good care of their sheep play an important part in our story. And like Mary, they had their own direct experience with the angels.
In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them,
"Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth lying in a manger."
And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying,
Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward all. Down through history, this angelic saying was interpreted to mean peace in the hearts of all people. But a Unitarian minister in the mid-1800s realized it meant an end to war and violence, an actual peace on earth. He sat down and wrote the words to "It Came Upon a Midnight Clear," hymn number 244. Please join in.
When the angels had left them, the shepherds said to one another,
Let us now go to Bethlehem and see this thing that is taking place, which the Lord has made known of us.
So the shepherds went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger.
While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn.
When the shepherds saw this, they made known what had been told to them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them.
Not all who visited the stable were shepherds. Some were what we might think of today as scientists. They studied the stars in the sky and astrology. Now, different translations of our story refer to them as magi, wise men, or kings. And one of our sources refers to the guidance of reason, or using our minds, and the results of science. Using the stars as a guide, these magi traveled from far away to visit the baby.
Please join in as we sing, "We Three Kings of Orient Are," hymn 259.
On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage.
Then, opening their treasure chests, they saw the child and with Mary, his mother, and knelt down and paid. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road.
King Herod heard that Jesus was going to be born and was afraid he would threaten his power, and sent the wise men to find him so that he might harm the baby. But after they found him, the Magi did not report back to Herod. Another of our sources asks us to learn from inspired men and women to stand up with justice, compassion, and love to those who do wrong.
Now, after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said,
"Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child."
Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." When they had finished everything required by the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. The child grew and became strong, filled with wisdom, and the favor of God was upon him.
Let us celebrate the birth by singing Joy to the World. Please rise and join in body or spirit as we sing.
Thank you.
We invite everyone to sing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas."
Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice with the words printed on your laminated pew card. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Today we have told the story of a baby born into the world many years ago. The baby is the most tiny, helpless character in the entire story. But one child, even a child born in a barn to a homeless family without much money, can change the world for the better and alter the course of history. There's power in all of us. We have more leverage than we imagine, and even the smallest of us can make a big difference in other people's lives. That's what Jesus taught us. Go this week and make a difference in other people's lives. Go and be blessed. Go in peace.
Thank you so much for watching our service today. We're glad you're part of our online community, where we welcome people who are diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, as well as gender identity and sexual orientation. There are many different ways you can get involved in our community. One you can do right now is by clicking like below or subscribing to our channel. If you're interested in joining our congregation, please email us at membership@firstuuhouston.org. Thanks so much for joining us.